Hi, I'm Theresa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm starting a very exciting video because I am going to be reading I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. So if you've been on my channel before, you've probably heard me talking about Casey McQuiston's books. These are Red, White and Royal Blue and One Last Stop. Both absolute favourites of mine. I adore them. So now that I have an early copy of Shara Wheeler, Casey's YA debut, I am so beyond excited to finally be reading it. And I thought I've got to do a video on it, so here we are. If you watched my Not My Problem book talk, this will be kind of in a very similar format where I'll do a reading vlog of my reactions as I read it, and then at the end I will sit down and give you a full review. And yes, I hope you enjoy this video. I'll give a synopsis of this book once I've started it and I can do it in my own words, but I hear this is Paper Towns vibes, and as in a girl goes missing and you follow the kids left behind to piece the kind of past together. It's sapphic. I'm excited. There's nothing more I need than Casey McQuiston and sapphic to be excited about a book. Actually, there's nothing more than Casey McQuiston I need to be excited about a book. I would read anything they write. So I'm beyond excited to be starting this. Let's go! Just before we get started, I forgot to mention this earlier, but this vlog will be completely spoiler free. No spoilers here, just my reactions to the book, what I'm thinking of it, and then my review. All of it, no spoilers, I promise. Okay, so I've read the first chapter and I want to give my first impressions, and I'm already loving it. I just love Casey McQuiston's writing style and like her humour, and it's already clear in this first chapter the voice that Chloe has, our narrator, and I'm just so intrigued. So basically this follows a main character called Chloe Green, and she has been competing with this girl called Shara Wheeler for valedictorian to be the best in their school, and on prom night Shara disappears and Chloe wants to know what happened because it turns out Shara kissed her a couple days before, but then when Chloe is snooping around her room she discovers the bad boy of their school who Shara also kissed before she disappeared, and so the two of them have to work together with Shara's boyfriend to figure out what happened and try and find out where she is. And I'm just already taken in by the writing style, by Chloe's narration, and by these characters. Like, it's definitely doing some high school cliches and stuff, which I enjoy because I hope it's going to be subverted or given depth or something. And I don't know, I'm just excited. You know, it's a Casey McQuiston book, of course I'm excited. You know me, but first, so far, so good. So I've read the first 5 chapters, which is about 20%, and I am loving it. I had been putting off reading this for like at least a week because I was scared I wouldn't enjoy it because I'm anticipating it so much and I'm like not in a great reading mood. But I'm just flying through it. I'm having time of my life. I'm so glad. So right now, Chloe, our main character, Rory, the bad boy who kissed Shara, and Smith, Shara's boyfriend, are all kind of working together to solve these clues Shara has left for them as to her disappearance. All these little pink letters. And it's good fun. They have such a fun dynamic between them because they've never really spoken to each other, but there's like this connection between them all through Shara, and I'm just loving it. And you also have Chloe's friends who are all queer. We love the queer friend group. And it's a good fun time. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm about 30% through, still loving it. This book has everything I love about Casey's books, like the friendship, the humour, the characters, the narration style, all of that. And it's just so good to be back in Casey's writing. I'm loving it. And Chloe's like best friend is called Georgia, and she is a bookish lesbian with an emotional support water bottle, which is the perfect representation for me. That is me. My water bottle goes where I go. And I'm just having a great time. And it's so fun. I'm just loving it. It's so much. It's so good. Hello, so I'm now over halfway through. Kind of considering finishing it today, because you know, I've not got much left and it's only 5:30. Like, I could do it. Because I just don't want to stop reading, which is like the best feelings. I've not felt that recently. But anyway, in the book are 3 kind of main characters, the 3 that are looking for Shara. They're all just like coming together as friends, and I'm just loving them together, all this development and like their relationships with each other. And it's like stuff I've been like, at it since the start, so it's like so lovely to see, and I'm just having such a good time with it. It's just so fun. And there's definitely other stuff going on in the book as well, and like the way Chloe's like treating her friends at the moment, I'm kind of like, remember they exist. But like I can see how she'd get so consumed in the Stara mystery and this new adventure she's on with them, and I'm just enjoying it so much. The way Casey McQuiston writes characters will never fail to amaze me, to just be everything I need. It's so good. I'm having the time of my life. I'm gonna go keep reading. Hello, it's a little later on. I'm taking a break from reading to eat and everything, but I can't. I have the killers stuck in my head because at the beginning of the book they have a line from one of the songs and then it's referenced again in the book, and now it's just in my head. I can't stop it. It was only a kiss, guys. So that's where I am at right now. I'm gonna get back to reading soon. Definitely gonna try and finish it tonight. Hello, I'm reading again. I'm not that much further in, but like, it feels like we're reaching the climax. Like, things are going down and I'm like, what's gonna happen now then? Like, it feels like the end. But we still have so much to go. But, loving the dynamics between all these characters so much. And I'm very excited to continue, but I thought I'd pop in with that thought. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. I'm loving it. Hello, it's later on. I'm about 80% in, and things are coming together. I'm loving it. Having a grand old time, ready for the kind of finale. It's so good. The characters, just the queerness, the small time vibes. It does deal very, very heavily with homophobia, particularly within the church, so be aware of that. I'll talk more about it in my review, but we're kind of dealing with that at the moment, and I'm just loving these kids coming together in the face of all of that. So good. And yeah, it's getting quite late and I have stuff to do tonight, so I don't know if I can finish it, but I really want to. We'll see. Hopefully I can. Hello, so I'm getting near the end and I just had to say how damn cute the romance is in this. I'm dying. And there's a side romance as well that I'm obsessed with. It's so good, guys. I can't stop reading. I'm obsessed. It's so good. The romance is so sweet, and like at first I wasn't sure about it, but then I'm sold. So completely sold. They're just I love the way that Casey McQuiston writes about love interest. Like, there's lines I want to highlight, but I can't because my Kindle's old. But when I get a physical copy, there will be tabs, there will be highlights. I love it. I'm gonna go finish it now. Screw having to get up early tomorrow. I need to finish it. I finished. It was so good. I loved it so much. I will have in the next clip my proper review, but for now, loved it. So good. Love the characters, their relationships, everything about it. It's such a wonderful book. 5 stars. So now we're on to the review portion of the video. So as you can tell from the first few minutes of this video, I absolutely adored I Kissed Shara Wheeler. It's so good. I'm gonna try to be more coherent here, but hopefully my vlog of me being just like, I love it, it's so good, on repeat, like a broken record, tells you how much you need to read this, how much you'll enjoy it. So I just want to start off this review by saying that there's a note at the beginning of this book that basically says if you come from the American South, if you come from an evangelical background, a Southern Baptist background, you're going to recognise a lot of the culture in this book, and that although it is approached with humour and, you know, it's an overall light-hearted toned book, there are mentions of religious trauma and homophobia and such in the book. So please just be aware of that if you're going to pick it up, because it is quite a large part of the book, although as this note says, it is approached lightheartedly, but also taking as seriously and handled as sensitively as this topic deserves. But yes, on to my kind of thoughts on the book. So we all know that Casey McQuiston is one of my favourite authors, and I loved Red, White and Royal Blue, One Last Stop, and now I Kissed Shara Wheeler, all for very different reasons, but I feel like they all have things that unite them. You know, Casey's writing style, the way that they create characters and relationships and humour and dialogue. I love it. It's all just done so masterfully to create these really like lifelike characters who, you know, who feel so real, and they are flawed and they are imperfect, and that's okay. You still love them anyway because they're so easy to care about and to love. And this strength really shined through with I Kissed Shara Wheeler, with our main character Chloe, with Shara Wheeler herself, but also with the side characters, especially Smith and Rory, who I end up adoring so much. And oh, it's so clever, and I wish I could write characters like that. Like, that is my goal. It's just so amazing. I'm sorry if you can hear wind in the background, just by the way. For some reason the wind is so loud in this flat. But anyway, back to the book. So yes, the characters, amazing. And Chloe Green, she is fierce, she's determined, she's ambitious, but she also cares so much about her friends and her family. And I just loved her character, and her narration is so like snarky, and I just really enjoyed reading from her perspective. And Shara herself, she's elusive, and you realise throughout the book as she leaves these notes behind for these three to follow that none of them really know her as well as they think they do, except maybe Chloe, who's always suspected but never quite known that maybe Shara isn't as perfect as she seems, because she's this, you know, perfect popular girl, the head teacher's daughter, and she basically gets everything she wants because of her privilege in this position. And just seeing that kind of deconstruction in the book, and that she's not this perfect untouchable girl, was just really nice to see. I love the kind of popular girl trope. It's one of my favorites. I've talked about it before, and I just think that there's so much you can do with it, and I really appreciated what Casey McQuiston did with this here. She's not by no means like a popular mean girl. She's not mean, but you know, it's part of her family's image in this really Christian community is being the perfect Christian daughter, and that doesn't mean being mean. But oh, I don't know, she's just, I love her. When you get to know her through these notes and through how the characters all see her, it's so interesting, especially when you then get to meet her towards the end of the book. And then I've mentioned Smith and Rory. So Smith is Shara's boyfriend, and Rory is the boy who lives next door to her. He's kind of the bad boy in the school, and you learn that he's had a crush on her for years, and there's some like tension obviously between him and Smith because of this. And I just loved both of their characters so much. I can't say too much without spoiling like the story, but I just love them, their journeys, and just the friendship that grew between them and Chloe as they all searched for Shara together. It was just so touching and heartwarming, and just so lovely to see these three people from completely different like backgrounds, from different like cliques, how do you say that word, in school, these different groups, and just seeing them come together was really fun. And there's this scene where the three of them go for a drive and they get slushies, and then there's a frog at some point, and I just adored that scene so much. And their characters and everything, like I want to live in that moment. You really felt it in that scene, this friendship that was forming between the three of them, and it was just gorgeous. So yes, my kind of favourite relationships in this book were definitely the friendships rather than the romantic ones, though I also did very much enjoy the romance. To begin with, I worried if it would be quite like one-sided on Chloe's part because Shara wasn't there, but my fears were very quickly put to rest, and I ended up really loving the development of their relationship. I felt like it worked so perfectly for the characters and for the story, and you know, Shara not being there didn't hinder it or anything. Like, it was like her disappearing was almost necessary for it. And I'm realizing now, to be clear, Shara disappeared herself. and left like notes behind. Like she wasn't kidnapped or anything bad. Like this was purely just her leaving of her own free will. I'm not sure I made that clear earlier in the video, so I want to say that now. Like that's why it's light-hearted, and that's why they were looking for her, because she left the 3 of them clues. And this is probably very late in the video to be saying that, but just in case anyone was wondering. And yes, I just really enjoyed the relationship, and oh, it was so good. And the notes, her leaving these notes was like such a good plot device to build up this relationship between Chloe and Stara and really get to know them both, and also encourage this friendship between the 3. And I just loved it. I thought it was all just so well done, and it was just so enjoyable to read. Like Casey McQuiston's sense of humor in their books just gets me. Like that's my humor. It just works so well for me personally. Like it feels sometimes like these books were written just for me, and I just loved loved it. Like I've said Chloe's snark, but there's also just like this easy banter between the characters, and it's also natural and well written, and you feel like you're getting to like a peek into real lives. Like it's just so natural and human. I love it. And so I want to kind of touch on how this book deals with being set in a small town in Alabama in the Bible Belt and in a Christian high school, and like how that affects the characters in the story. So Chloe comes from California. She is not religious. Her mum grew up in the town, but she didn't, and she's had a completely different experience. You know, she was already out as bisexual back home, but then when she moved to this town, she was like, what do I do? But decided to remain being out, and you see how that has like impacted her in some ways in the environment that she's in. And you also meet her friend group. You've got Georgia, Ash and Benji, and I love them all. They don't have such a significant role as the other like main 3, Chloe, Smith and Rory, but they're definitely there and they do play a significant role, and I liked getting to know them. But through them you can kind of see these different experiences of queerness to Chloe's, and how it's influenced by where they've grown up and the kind of culture they've grown up in, where they're still proud to be themselves, but they're not able to be out in the same way that Chloe is. And I just really appreciated having these different perspectives on it. And the same goes for how religion is portrayed. Like Chloe's not religious, and it'd be so easy to have her be the only voice in that, to be so like dismissive of it. But it's not like that. There's these characters who have grown up in this town and in these values, and who have found a way that religion works for them and for their identity. And that was just so nice to see these different perspectives, especially as through Chloe's narration you learn about all of these perspectives. I felt like that was so necessary when tackling this subject, to show that there's not just one perspective or one size fits all response to it that works for everyone, that queerness and religion can be experienced in very different ways. This is obviously only talking about Christianity because that's where the book's set, in a Christian high school, and I like seeing this exploration. I just thought it was very interesting. The other thing I want to talk about is that I love in Casey McQuiston's novels how very queer they are. Like queerness is such a big part of their novels, of their stories, and in Red, White and Royal Blue and One Last Stop it affects the story in different ways, and the same is true for I Kissed Shara Wheeler. And here obviously it's not this out and proud massive big moment of queerness that you get in some of the other books because of the environment that these characters are in, but there's still these subtle moments of queer pride. And it's like also people coming into their identities and everything that you do as a teenager, like people in different journeys, different stages in the journey, and it was just so good to read. And it still had the big fun queer moment at the end that I've come to expect from Casey's novels, that just had so much joy and everything in it that I loved so much. And yeah, I think I've talked about this book enough. Hopefully this has convinced you to pick it up and give it a go yourself. Or if you've already read it, come into the comments and tell me what you thought, if you agree with me, if you loved it too, who your favourites were, all of that good stuff, because I want to talk about this book. I just really loved my time reading. And yeah, so that's the end of the video. I'll have my written review linked down below if you want to give it a read, as well as a link to the book on Goodreads if you want to add it to your TBR. And yes, my social media will be linked down below as well. My TikTok, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Goodreads, all of that good stuff. I'm always talking about books there, so come on and check it out. And yes, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you with another video soon.